The CBDC question. Where are we on that here in the US, and how far out front is China?
Well, the U.S. is I think sort of on the sidelines, doing some good work, doing research. But if you think about the rest of the world, China is actually leading the way. China has been working on a pilot since 2014, working on its central bank digital currency, has already sort of had millions of transactions, millions of wallets, and has an array of pilots that are in the hands of people testing out smart contracts and programmability of money. So they actually have data that they're iterating on, and they're helping other countries with standards and collaborating on CBDC to CBDC transactions. So I'd say we're behind, although it doesn't mean that it's a race where we have to do exactly what China's doing, but the conversation globally is happening, and China is well positioned to influence that conversation. There's really a geopolitical context to all of this, and we have to make sure that we're not losing the forest for the trees. The geopolitical backdrop is that around the world, there is now, I don't know if it's a race, but there's certainly a march towards finding alternative ways for new digital financial infrastructure. Basically, how to do cross-border transactions in a way where you're not relying the same way on traditional banking infrastructure. That's happening, whether we want to like it or not. And it's not just China. Of course, China has its project, but other countries in the EU, the UK, Japan, other parts of East Asia are all trying to figure out a way to innovate with payments. Now, the geopolitical implication there is if there is an alternative financial infrastructure, if there are new rails and the U.S. doesn't have the same influence on that, it is not sort of at the table when new standards are being laid, then that impacts U.S. economic statecraft. Sanctions, the ability to sanctions, the potency of our sanctions power comes from the centrality of the U.S. to the financial global infrastructure. So if that shifts, even if it shifts a little bit, doesn't mean that China is going to take over or that the yuan is going to displace the dollar. But if there's a viable new rail where sanctioned actors can now transact, that's trouble.
To us because you're on the Crypto Council for Innovation, but also because you used to work for the Central Intelligence Agency, which gives you some insight into what the government is thinking about these new technologies. Do you think the CIA, do you think the Biden administration, Congress, are they all aware of the potential disruptions it could cause if China gets too far ahead of us in this space and we're lagging behind?
I would say yes, generally, and this, of course, is from public statements, from what the Biden administration put out, an executive order. Obviously, is looking at the future of payments, the future of digital payments. That's all there. What I think is maybe missing is that the posture is more defensive than offensive, right? I mean, if there are concerns about China leading, if there are concerns about the U.S. Of there being an alternative, it can't be met with just a defensive posture against maybe some of the risks that this could propose. It has to be met with really a vision of what does the digital future look like for the United States? What should be the rules? What should be the standards? And I would probably say that there's probably too much of a focus on immediately where crypto assets are. Now, obviously, there are scams out there. There are a lot of issues. We could look at that. But that's why I say we have to look at the forest, not just the trees.
Yeah.
The trees are a few ruined. There are lots of ruined, rotten trunks out there. But the forest is what's happening writ large around digital asset.
Right. Do we have to have a central bank digital currency, or are we okay with the stable coins that we've already got pegged to the U.S. dollar?
I don't have a specific answer, and I think where the U.S. is and what the U.S. has to think about is what are the tools that are out there that are going to be important? What is the infrastructure? What's the technology that may be useful? Now, the march towards a CBDC, if you think about it, is really it is a government-focused route. It is saying, hey, let's build these government rails. Now, what will be built upon that? I don't think we really know. I think the one thing that I would encourage from my sort of looking at this as a research area is that we need to consider that there's going to have to be flexibility and adaptability for the digital for digital financial infrastructure. Now, does that mean we rely on government? Hey, again, that's a question I think people are going to have to think about. But we're going to have to, I think, leverage some of these new technologies that are being innovated upon. I mean, if you think about a CBDC, and one big concern a lot of people have is the question of privacy.
Yeah.
If you're gonna build a something where data is captured, the Chinese model is okay. Yeah, the government will collect it, and the government will unmask those identities and potentially exploit them. Before even going towards a CBDC in the U.S., we have to have a conversation about how do we protect privacy? What is the digital financial privacy posture? I don't think we even have that.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And we have an ex-CIA member speaking about crypto. And guys, we know the NSA and CIA know all about blockchain and cryptocurrency. And we know the U.S. is lagging behind on purpose. And he states that China has been working on the digital yuan since 2014. And guys, that is exactly right, because I brought you several videos of China and Russia working on this new financial system to stop sanctions. And that's exactly what he talks about. But we also know this is a plan to bring down America to Babylon, and it's definitely an inside job. So we know America to Babylon is going to be falling, and it's going to be the rise of China the dragon with the BRICS nations, and they will be using a digital yuan backed by that digital SDR. And then he also touched on cross-border payments. And guys, we know with this real-time settlement is going to open up trillions of dollars of liquidity. And that's the reason why Ripple's Xrp and Xlm and many others are so important. So guys, do not forget to go. It's all about the fourth industrial revolution.
We've talked about China a lot over the years. It feels like the tensions have only gotten worse over the years that we've had those conversations. And I'm curious how you think the bank plans to approach the issue of China, doing business in China, working with clients in China and around China, working with investors, thinking about investing in China. How has your thinking changed, if at all?
Well, I think it's hard to operate in this environment and not have your thinking shift a little bit, given the fact that we're at a very, very tough place in the bilateral relationship between the U.S. and China. And my own view is I think it's probably going to get tougher over the next couple of years before it gets better. We operate, though, in service of our clients, and they can be global clients that are doing business in China. They can sometimes be clients on the ground. I think the lens, local clients, I think the lens has shifted a little bit, given the environment, but we will serve our clients as they need to be served. If somehow from our government, from a legislative process, there are changes in capital flow rules, et cetera, we'll obviously adapt to them. But certainly our view is it's a more cautious time in terms of our own investment in our franchise.
So the risk premium has gone up.
The risk premium's gone up, but we've got a reasonable footprint in Hong Kong, a smaller footprint on the mainland, and it's there to serve our clients. And we're going to continue to serve our clients because, candidly, they need more advice at this point in time, given the complexity of the situation.
Final question, and it's what all your clients are probably asking you, which is, where is this economy headed? There's the Goldman analyst view, but what is the David Solomon family view?
Well, I'd like to say that I sit around with my daughters talking about the macroeconomy, but they have other things that they'd rather talk about when we're together. So I don't know what the family view is. But what I would say, as I'm talking to CEOs, Andrew, there's been a shift over the last 6 months. I think there was a lot of pessimism around the chance that we could get through this cycle without a real recession, given how quickly we were changing economic conditions. We've now been in a period of 9 months where we've had a real tightening of economic conditions. Obviously the impact of that will lag. We've taken inflation from double digits, down, more to 5, 6. I think the general consensus is inflation is going to be stickier. When I talk to CEOs, stickier and harder to move, from where it is now, down to 3%, let's say, let alone 2%. And in the context of that, higher rates, longer, sluggish growth, stickier, but a better chance that we can muddle through with a softer landing. And so I think there's a little more optimism because people's businesses have been performing better. The consumer has been more resilient. Service businesses in particular have been doing very well. So I think we're in a place where there's a little bit more optimism about muddling through, but I think inflation is going to be sticky and hard. And, I think anyone running a business has to be prepared for kind of a bumpy 12 to 18 to 24 months.
was directed towards Elon Musk. The Tesla founder had been retweeting posts promoting the theory that coronavirus originated from a Wuhan lab. Well, the issue is very sensitive here in China. And so the Communist Party paper, The Global Times, warned on its social media site that he could be breaking the pot of China. This is a Chinese saying that's similar to biting the hand that feeds you. Now, this.
Honor to meet you. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now we have Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon speaking on China. And guys, we know China, Exxon, which is the Rockefellers, JP Morgan, American Express, all these big banks, big corporations are embedded in China. They know China's poor is about to come into the middle class, and they're going to be able to make trillions and trillions of dollars. Remember, all wars are bank wars. This is when the banks and the big corporations make their biggest profits. And then he talks about inflation, says that it will be harder for inflation to come down, and it's going to stick into the economy a whole lot longer. And he went over the talking points that we hear from all the banks and all the big corporations. We're going to have a soft landing, and the consumer is more resilient because they know the consumer is about to collapse. And guys, we know where to look at these numbers right on the Fed's webpage. And then, guys, we have China told Elon Musk, don't bite the hand that feeds you. And guys, we know all the subsidies that China has given Tesla. So like I stated, all of our big corporations are embedded in China and banking on China to rise. And then we had the unbelievable happen. We had Janet Yellen's surprise visit in Ukraine. Now, guys, what is the head of our treasury doing in Ukraine? That's right, handing over our billions of dollars for this movie. And remember, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. And remember, the crypto teacher told you because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Xrp, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the fourth industrial revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.